right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we are going to talk about some news that was shared with me about Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford's negotiations. And long story short, that time is ticking, and them negotiations will be coming to a halt pretty soon. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we're going to be back on the big subject in boxing, the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. And I know that there's been a lot of talk about it, but we've been keeping up with it the whole time. Both what has been said on the streets, what's been said by the particular fighters and the different people in the public that had anything to say about it. And I'm being told that these negotiations are going to be coming to an end pretty soon, one way or another. But before I get into that subject matter, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you're new to the channel, please accept my invitation to subscribe and hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. Also, if you are a longtime subscriber or supporter to the channel, thank you so much for your continued support. Really, really does mean a lot. Thank you guys for always coming to the live streams, watching the videos, chopping it up with me. Even if we disagree, it's always a lot of fun to talk, provided, we ain't at each other's throat. But that's boxing. Anyway, let's get on to the subject matter at hand. Terence Crawford, Errol Spence Jr., big mega fight for the 147-pound undisputed title of the world. Everybody that I know of wants to see the fight, even if they pick Terence Crawford or they pick Errol Spence. Everybody knows that is pretty much the fight to be made in boxing. And there aren't a lot of fights that are that level of fight that need to be made and haven't been for a while, but just maybe a couple of them. A couple, 3, 4 of them, maybe Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder was like that. You have obviously something was really huge, Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather Jr. I think now in the weight classes that are coming up with these young guys, there are fights like Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis, where you have two guys that are just really, really, really stellar fighters who are very, very dangerous fighters that people want to see fight. So it's just reasonable that there's a lot of interest in this fight. And however, unfortunately, we have not come to fruition. This fight is not to come to fruition yet. There has been for years, there was a lot of, there was the legitimate two sides of the street stuff going on where you had Errol Spence Jr., who was with the PBC, and Terence Crawford, who was with Top Rank. And so, it was like never the twain shall meet. A lot of people were saying, who's this guy's ducking, that guy's ducking, but never believed any of that stuff had anything to do with ducking. I think is exactly what Errol said. I'm gonna get done with these fights that are on the PBC side, because those fights can be made very, very easily. And Terence Crawford is a harder fight to make because he's over there with Top Rank. Now, if that was not Errol Spence Jr. paying Nostradamus, because even with Terence Crawford, even with Bob Arum not involved, it seems like the fight between Terence Crawford and Errol Spence is difficult to make because of the money involved in the fight. Now, what I'm being told is that one way or the other, that this stuff is going to have to be worked out very soon, because Showtime is going to lay out their schedule for the rest of the year and for the rest of their year, and PBC is going to lay out their deal for the rest of the year, and they're not going to continue to wait for this fight to get finalized before they they're going to, it's a situation where the big fight, it's either ish or get off the pot. I don't want to cuss in my videos. I don't do that. I don't typically do that, but you get my point. Sit on that toilet, use it, or hop off so somebody else can, right? Because that is what, in order for these guys to get these fights scheduled, they have about another 3 weeks before they have to really kind of settle in on what they're going to do. Because you have, like, for example, this Terence Crawford Errol Spence Jr. fight, from my understanding, is being targeted for October. If that fight is targeted in October, we are now in the second week of June. So you have just July, all of July, August, September. That's 3 months, right? Or so. And if you think about it this way, you're going to have a 3-week training camp, right? So you have, and then you have to have the venues negotiated, all of that stuff done for a fight that size that they're going to want to promote that much. They're going to need the full amount of time to get that fight fully promoted, and they're also going to have all of their other fights worked around and the rest of their schedule done. So even though Errol Spence and Terence Crawford is a really really big fight, they do not have the time to wait around for the rest of their schedule, just waiting on one person and what it sounds like is Terence Crawford to accept the deal. So it's going to be a situation. This is what I'm being told, where they do not have a lot of time left to get that fight done. Now, what I've said and I'm consistently saying is that that is going to be incumbent upon Terence Crawford accepting what the deal is that they get offered. Errol Spence Jr. has already said, and this is why we know this thing is getting stretched on, that Errol said he has accepted this deal. He said that at least a month and a half ago, that he's already accepted the offer that they were going to put out there. Tim Smith, who was with the PBC half a year ago, well before the Ugas fight with Manny Pacquiao, where Ugas replaced Errol Spence Jr., said, "Look, man, we're gonna give him an offer, but we don't really know if he's gonna really want this offer. So what it's gonna come down to is, is this gonna be an insulting offer for him?" Tim Smith himself said, "Look, if it was me, I wouldn't even make him the offer because I know he's not going to accept it." Right. So now Terence, the very last thing that Terence Crawford said was like, "Look, hopefully this fight will happen. We just have things we got to work out, on the business side of it, which is Terence Crawford getting the money that Terence Crawford wants for that fight. Terence Crawford more than likely is not going to get the money that he wants for that fight. Steven Espinoza has already said that, and I'm telling you, like one thing now this is where we get into my opinion. I think people will negotiate, and they think um, that sometimes you can barter and bargain with certain people, and sometimes it doesn't work like that. Sometimes people make you the best offer that they can make you, and they make you that best offer pretty soon, pretty much right up front. And if you don't take it, then they're like, "Okay, well, I'm sorry, we can't make this fight. It's just gonna have to be what it is," right? And that very well may be the situation where he is with Steven Espinoza, because Steven Espinoza was very clear on that. Look, we're not going to pay Mayweather type of money for this fight, and that's what people want for this fight. And he said that a couple months ago. Now, when other people said this fight was almost done, right? All of that, uh, um, Floyd Mayweather Jr. jumped out and said, "No, that's not true. When this fight gets done, or if it gets done, you're going to hear that from me." I don't think from Floyd that was him saying, like him just baiting and saying, "No, well, this fight is going to be, this fight is done. I'm just trying to hold it back and not let it be known." From what I hear out of the mouths of these guys, not just what people are telling me when I talk to them, through different other venues or other mediums, what I'm hearing out of these guys' mouth is like, "No, man, this fight is not done." And you hear like literal, real, and true frustration out of Errol and Terrence. I mean, out of Errol Spence Jr.'s camp when they talk about it. Right, the last thing Errol said about it was, "Look, if this fight doesn't get done, it ain't me." Right, clearly putting it over there. So hopefully Terrence will, take the ish, take the fight, make the fight before it gets too late, and they time themselves out, and they have to move on just because they have to make a decision on what they're going to do next. And at a certain point, that's going to happen, especially if they're talking about a fight this year, because again, it is already the 6th month of the year. You have is it you had and they're looking at October, right? That's only 4 months away, and they're going to need a 3 months training camp, and they're going to announce that fight. They would want to announce that fight as far in advance as they possibly can to guarantee that they can do good money. But anyway, that's what I'm being told. You let me know what you think in the comment section, and with that, I'm out. Peace.